Hey guys, welcome back to Refining with Jessie, the life coach. So today I'm going to be sharing some tips on how to change unhealthy habits within your life. So this is going to be a topic that can relate to a lot of people because we all have unhealthy habits in our lives. We're always trying to work better to a new us, right? We have a new year coming in. So if you have any unhealthy habits that you're trying to break, I'm going to be sharing some tips on how you can break that cycle for good. For sure, for real, today. So let's get started. So let's talk about habits. What are they? Basically, what they are is default programming. We usually go on autopilot and do the same thing over and over and over and over. It takes about 18 days to form a habit, and it takes double the time to break it. It takes about anywhere from 3 to 6 months to actually break a habit. And of course, that's always going to be based on the person and their willpower and how much they want to change it. That's the big one. I always tell people it's always up to you. It's always up to how much you desire a change in your life. And it's no different with unhealthy habits. So we all have them. I think we all can relate to this topic. There's always something we do in our life that is unhealthy that we need to change. Whether it's, within health, eating better, eating right, whether you smoke, whether you drink, whether, it's with self-development, when within self, you start noticing like habits and patterns within your own self. And you're like, oh, why do I do that? I want to stop it. Habits are hard to break. So number one, you have to be gentle with yourself. That's with anything in life. I always tell people you have to be gentle with yourself. It took years and probably decades to form habits, patterns, and things that have been programmed in our subconscious. They are deep, deep down there. It took forever to form. Depending how old you are, it's going to be how long you've probably been doing this habit. So it's going to take time. So number one, be gentle with yourself. It takes time. And at times, you're going to try to go forward and you're going to be pushed back, or you're going to do good and then you're going to fall back. So that's number one. Understand when you're breaking any habit, that is going to be a challenge. 2, how you talk to yourself is so important. First of all, we're going to take any negative connotation out of habits. A lot of people say bad habits, right? We use the word bad. We're going to take that out. The word bad it's been removed, and we're going to replace bad with unhealthy, right? So how we talk to ourselves is so important. We cannot be judgmental to ourselves, and we have to take it easy on ourselves. So the word bad, no. We don't want to use I can't, no. We're going to remove all of those negative, judgmental words from our vocabulary, okay? We're going to be using unhealthy and I always can, okay? You always have the power. Remember that. So when you are rewriting your script, when you are rewriting your life and trying to get in alignment and trying to get healthy and trying to remove old unhealthy patterns and habits, you want to make sure that you are replacing the old with the new. It's like goodbye and hello. Yes, that's exactly what you want to do. So let's say, for example, you want to eat better. You want to have a healthier lifestyle regarding nutrition. So instead of buying chips, unhealthy, you replace that with something healthy, right? So whatever that would be for you, whatever you like to eat. But you want to make sure that you're not just removing the old, the unhealthy habit and just leaving yourself hanging. That's the easiest way to fall back. So whatever you're removing, replace it with something that's positive and healthy, right? So let's say at midnight, you like to just take all these munchies and you're like, that's a bad habit. I want to stop that. I'm gaining a lot of weight. I don't like that, so on and so forth, right? So let's say at night you go, like I said, get a bag of chips. You want to replace that with something else that's healthier. Or they have some chips that are made, they say they are healthier, right? So you could always do that. You just don't want to just go cold turkey because it is going to backfire at the end, right? So you don't want to take everything that you're trying to change and just go towards it, like I can do this all at once. No, it's going to be harder that way. I respect that drive, that motivation, that inspiration, that willpower, and you want to do it. That's great. but take it slowly, okay? Make sure you're removing the old, but replacing it with something new. Remove triggers. So whatever trigger is for you. So whatever habit you're trying to remove, you want to make sure you are removing triggers. So let's take another example. Let's say you're trying to better yourself. Let's say you're trying to work on how you react to people. Let's say that's an unhealthy habit within your life, and you're saying, you know what, I want to be a better person. I want to work on myself. I want to work on how I respond to people. And I'm really gonna, do this. 2020, I'm gonna be a whole different person. You see. Well, that's great. Congratulations. That's the first step. Now, if you are around a lot of people who like to trigger you, meaning they like to get an emotional reaction out of you, or they are full of drama and chaos, and there's a lot of toxic people around you, you want to make sure that you are removing yourself from those environments. So you want to remove the triggers. If there's certain people who are triggers, remove them. If there's certain places you go that trigger you, like let's say you have a job and there's a certain place that all the drama pops off in the job. Let's say it's in the cafeteria, right? Or the break room. Well, avoid that area. Avoid that area because you are working on a better you. You are working on avoiding this type of dynamic, these type of people, and putting yourself in these situations that you might get caught up on and get triggered. So that's what I mean by removing triggers. Same thing with food, right? We use the example of chips and things of that sort, right? So if you're trying to eat better, what you don't want to do is buy all the junk food. Soda, caffeine, chips, cake, cookies, whatever, those things that, you like to eat that you feel are unhealthy for you, remove them. And don't be around people who are always snacking on them, right? So let's say they're constantly snacking on this type of food at work. Well, when they're snacking, go find something else to do. So that's what remove triggers means. Definitely take whatever is going to trigger you and get you back into those unhealthy habits and patterns and start staying away from them, And you don't have to do it forever, right? You don't have to do it forever. You just want to do it when you are at your weakest, which is when you are going to start working towards being healthier, right? Once you start getting more grounded in your power and you're able to resist temptation, whatever that temptation may be, that's when you could be strong enough to put yourself back in the situations. And then, it will be the biggest test to see how you have learned and how you have bettered yourself. So when you're going into changing any type of unhealthy habits, they usually are linked with other habits, right? It's usually like when a person goes down a rabbit hole, they keep falling, right? Or like a domino effect. You open one door, let's say it's a bad door. Guess what? That leads to other bad doors. So usually an unhealthy pattern is connected to other unhealthy, behaviors and patterns. And what you want to do is make sure you are tackling one by one by one. Like I said, you might be super motivated and driven to change so many things in your life, which is great. It is awesome. But you gotta remember that you gotta do one thing at a time. So take one unhealthy habit that you want to focus on and give that all your attention. You don't want to multitask when you're trying to change habits because it becomes all too much. You want to make sure that you are focused, you got your eye on the prize to go tackle one habit at a time. And once you conquer the first one, then you can go to the second, the third, the fourth, and so on and so forth. When you're trying to remove unhealthy habits from your life, it's easy, like I said, to kind of fall right back into them. So what you want to do is remind yourself why you got started on your healthy road to begin with, right? And so what you want to do when you first want to go tackle the pattern, the habit, the behavior, whatever it is that is unhealthy for you and you're trying to remove it, what you want to do is write down everything that's negative that's connected to this habit, right? And why are we going to do that? Because we are going to remind ourselves every single day why you got started on trying to remove this. And that is going to be your biggest motivator when you're trying to give up, because you're going to want to give up. I'm going to tell you now, you're going to want to give up depending on what your habit is, right? And like I said, if it's been something that's been so ingrained in you and you've been doing it and operating on autopilot for so long, it's going to be hard, right? So you might fall back. So you're going to need that constant reminder of why you are trying to break this habit and why you're trying to go towards something a little bit more healthy for yourself. And the best way to do that is to have a whole description of why you want to remove this from your life to begin with. So let's say, for an example, you're trying to remove a person. Let's say you are addicted to a person. There's someone that you have an unhealthy dynamic with, and you're saying, you know what? I'm going to remove this habit of being addicted to this person, right? Like I said, habits are habits. It could be anything. There's a huge spectrum of what people are going through in their lives. Some people, it could be something as small as like trying to give up, unhealthy food. Other people, it might be unhealthy people. Other people, it might be, self-talk. It could be anything. A habit is a habit, right? So let's say it's a person. And you have all these negative memories connected to this person. Maybe this person has brought you a lot of pain. Maybe this person has brought you a lot of burdens. Maybe this person has brought you a lot of chaos and drama into your life. And the thing is with people, when we get attached to them and we kind of part from them, we tend to romanticize, right? Whether it's a romantic relationship or not, we tend to romanticize, the relationship. So what do I mean by that is we tend to always think about the good, the fun times, all the good times we had with this person, how much we care for them, so on and so forth, right? And then our brains completely forget about all the bad. So on this list, what you are going to write is everything bad that has been connected to this person, or the turmoil they have brought into your life, or the chaos, or the drama, maybe how they have helped, create unhealthy behaviors within yourself, within your life, and so on and so forth. And every time you feel like, oh my God, I'm going to call this person, or, oh my God, I want to hang out with this person, or oh my God, no, you read that list. Read the list. Remind yourself why you are staying away from this person. Remind yourself why this is an unhealthy person for you. Remind yourself why this is an unhealthy dynamic. And remind yourself why you deserve better. That is going to be the key for you. While you're writing this list, you also want to make a list of what triggers you. Besides removing yourself from the triggers, in order for you to remove yourself from the triggers, you have to know what triggers you to begin with. So if you're not aware of what triggers you, you want to make sure that you become super crystal clear what triggers you and what brings out this bad behavior. So for instance, let's say if you smoke a lot, you are a smoker and you want to change that habit. You're like, okay, you know what? I realize that this is an unhealthy habit for me. I want to make this change. I want to be healthier and I want to drop this. I want to leave this behind, right? For instance, usually when people are angry and they get all revved up, right? The first thing they want to do if you are a smoker is usually go outside to smoke a cigarette, right? So that is your emotional trigger, right? If someone upsets you, you want to start smoking, right? So you need to understand your triggers, understand what happens within your emotional body that brings out this need to smoke. Same thing with food. A lot of times when people are upset, right, or they're feeling down or they're feeling sad, they go straight and hit the junk food, right? Well, you want to make sure that you are aware of your patterns and that specific trigger. So when you're starting to change a habit, you want to make sure that you're spending some time reflecting on what are your triggers. Besides knowing, what is triggering you, you got to understand what's behind it. What is stemming up on the emotional front that's making you do these specific things, right? When you're at work and you're just sitting there and you're like totally bored and you're like, okay, I'm going to go munch on something because I'm bored. Well, you have to know that that's a trigger. So when you're bored, you're going to start munching around. So if you're bored, keep yourself busy, right? So you're not eating certain things. If you feel lonely when you call that person that you're trying to break that addiction from, well, you want to make sure that you are looking at that and saying, okay, when I feel lonely, this is what I do, right? And of course, to replace any of these habits, you have to replace it with something else. But in order to replace it with something else, you have to understand it. Everything is about the root of the problem. Every unhealthy habit is connected to a root. There is somewhere that it grew from. So what you have to do is unravel the puzzle, right? Put it all together, try to find the pieces to understand how did this develop? How did this habit develop within me? And in order to do that, you have to spend some time in reflection, self-reflection, and trying to understand your own self. That's the best way to break a habit. If you don't understand why it's happening, it's going to repeat. You are not going to break the habit. It's going to go back and you're going to do the habit again. It's going to be super hard to really break it. And it's already hard to break habits. So understanding is the key, is the foundation to everything. So you definitely want to make sure that you also addressing the underlying reason of why you are doing this. A lot of times when we are addicted to people, for instance, right? People who are unhealthy for us and they're toxic, and let's say you're like, oh my God, I call this person when I'm lonely and I feel like I need them in my life. Well, that's stemming from self-worth and self-confidence. So in order for you to break that tie to that person, that cycle, right? That unhealthy habit of always trying to go back to them and always calling them in, guess what? You have to focus on the root, which is self-love, self-confidence, and worthiness of self. Once you fix that, guess what? You're not even gonna want them no more. And you're gonna stop attracting other unhealthy people. It's gonna be a habit that is like, cut, dead, done. It's a done deal. So always look for the root of the problem. Positive reinforcement is the best when you're trying to break a habit. Every time you do good, so every time you go to that gym if you're trying to lose weight, every time you eat veggies instead of eating that junk food when you're trying to eat better, every time, you don't call that toxic person and you spend time within self, focusing on self and doing something for you, every time you do something great when you're trying to break a habit, reward yourself. Reward yourself. Give yourself some positive reinforcement, right? Reward yourself for little things. And it could be as simple as giving yourself a positive talk, right? Like, you did well today, you could have did this, but you chose to do that. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of myself. That's right. Talk to yourself just like that. Positive reinforcement is so important when you're trying to break a habit, because a lot of the times people are thinking, well, I can't do this, and it's like, now it sucks and now I have nothing to do. It's like, what's the point? Well, if you reward yourself for something positive, you won't feel that way. Every time you do it, you're like, yes, I got this. You try to break a bad habit and you have the money, reward yourself for something, of value, monetary value that you like. It's a great way to reinforce, that positivity and like, I'm going to keep on going. That willpower is going to, get refueled every single time you reward yourself, because you're like, yeah, I got this. Now, you know what? If I get to this point, I'm going to get this, So challenge yourself and make sure you are rewarding yourself. Another way that you can do this, but the opposite spectrum of it, is rewarding yourself with unpleasant payoff every time you go towards the unhealthy behavior, right? So let's say you are a smoker and you're trying to quit smoking and you're having a hard time, right? So maybe, you like, okay, I'm going to buy, a box of cigarettes. Well, instead of buying a box of cigarettes that you normally smoke and you normally like, let's say there's a brand that you just don't like, you hate it, you hate the taste of it, well, buy that instead and then keep it in your house. And every time you try to go to smoke a cigarette, you taste this nasty cigarette and you're like, blech, right? So, well, it's like training your brain, like, okay, wait, this didn't taste good, right? No, I don't like this, right? So you could do the same thing with, a lot of people have a bad habit of nail biting, right? So that's a habit that some people just want to break, or like sucking their thumb. I know adults who suck up their thumb and it's a bad habit. So what do? Well, every time you try to go to like suck your thumb or bite your nail, put something on your thumb that you're not going to like. A lot of people train their kids like that. When they're trying to suck the thumb, they'll put something on the thumb that either tastes like nasty, or they wrap it like in a cloth. And then, the baby's like, oh, I don't want to do that. That tastes nasty. But you know what? It gets them to the end goal, because they start realizing, like, I don't like the taste of this. I'm not going to do that. Same thing with nail biting. You could put something on your nails that, you start biting, you're like, I don't really like the taste of that, right? So you could do the opposite. You can, enforce with unpleasant payoff to help you break that cycle, help you break that unhealthy habit. And the best way to break a habit, if you are truly struggling, is to get yourself an accountability partner. And this could be anyone. It could be just a friend, right? It could be a friend that you're like, okay, I want to do this, but I'm struggling, just hold me accountable. If you don't have someone to do this with, you can also use a project management tool. And what I mean by that is keeping yourself accountable, is keeping your goals on track. You know, you can have a project management tool that sends you reminders like, okay, did you eat today? Did you eat this today? How many carbs you had today? Let's say your habit is you want to drink more water. I had that as a goal for myself. Last year, I needed to drink more water. It was a habit of mine. I was constantly drinking soda, and I was like, okay, I really have to break this. This is not good for me. It's not good for my skin. It's not good for me, my health, and so on and so forth. So I started using project management tools as reminders. I'll get like pop-up reminders on my phone saying, hey, did you drink this amount of water? Or hey, you're behind. By this time of the day, you should have drank 3 glasses of water. Get to it, right? So that's what I mean by accountability partner. You can have it in a person, or you can have it, you could get a couple of apps or project management tool that can help you stay accountable. You want to make sure you're putting milestones within that tool to help you reach your end goal. Life coaches, that's what life coaches do. As a life coach, I help other people reach their goals and I keep them accountable. So any type of life coaching, whether it's breaking a habit, whether it's, helping them get through emotional stability, anxiety, depression, getting them, towards executive functioning, which is getting, organized, getting their priorities straight, creating a roadmap to where they want to go. Whatever type of coaching I help people in, even business coaching, we create together milestones. We create goals, and my job is to help keep them accountable. Every time we meet, the first question is, did you do this, right? Did you do this? If I give homework, because I do give homework, I say, have you completed the homework? And what is homework for me? As a life coach, it's just tasks that we give the person so they are meeting, step by step, going towards their goals. So at times there's going to be tasks that they need to do, no matter how minimum it is. Life coaches, they keep you accountable. The first thing when our session begins is, hey, how are you? You're doing great, blah, blah, blah. All the small talk, the chitter chatter. And then it's like, okay, where we left off was here. What did you complete? Did you complete this task? Did you get through this? Did you get through that? Did you do the research you were supposed to do? Did you go and meet with that person? Did you go have this talk? Whatever it is, we hold you accountable. So if you don't have anyone to do it with, you can always look into my services. That's what I do. I will hold you accountable. We will set goals, we set roadmaps, and we help others break unhealthy patterns, habits, and behaviors within their life. So guys, that is all I have for today's video. I hope if you're working towards a better you, a healthier you, you're looking to leave behind old patterns, behaviors, traits and things that you are not happy about, congratulations. I wish you the best. And like I said, if you ever need someone to help you, you could always look into my services. My info will be always in the info box of how you can get in contact with me. And I will see you in my next one. Bye.